Hi everyone, good afternoon, and thank you very much for being here, taking the time. We're very excited about this second edition of the Human Value-Based event. So I just wanted to go through the agenda very quickly so that we will all know what is going to happen of our lives for the next 3 hours or so. So now after the welcome and introduction that Maria Rosaria will give, we will have the opportunity to engage in an open conversation with our guests and speakers. So in particular, Giuseppe Fraizzoli, Isabella Fumagalli, David Ravech, Tiziana Mele, Andrea Bizzi, and Marina Veldanovas. Thank you very much for being here with us today. So then after this first conversation, we would like to take 15 just to get a coffee, and then we'll come back from the coffee break and we will go directly into the breakout rooms. So we will have the chance to join one of the 4 rooms and engage in a more direct conversation with at least one of the participants. And finally, we'll come back after 40 minutes breakout room conversation to share the learnings of the workshop and conclude. I think this is all from me. So over to you, Maria Rosaria. Thank you very much and welcome again. Enjoy the workshop.
Thank you, Lorenzo, to starting in this warm way. And thank you everyone to be here with us this afternoon. This afternoon is quite a marathon. So I mean, 3 hours is not short. For this reason, people will jump in, will jump out, but don't worry. We know that 3 hours is a long time, but we want to have a different timing with you. So very high quality in every single moment. Before to start, I wanted to underline that today, March 18th, is the National Day for Remembrance for victims of COVID-19 in Italy. And we wanted to pay a tribute to people who have passed away and COVID, our sincere condolences to their families. We also want to thank all those who work, think, and act day after day to fight against pandemic continuously, every day, also now, also today, after 1 year. And the Human Value-Based Healthcare event is our contribution to the construction of a more human and effective healthcare system, starting from facts, not from pure reflections. So thank you again. For this reason, we know that Giuseppe Fraizzoli will stay with us 1 hour, and then he needs to leave because he's managing the event in Bergamo. So thank you, Giuseppe, to join in any case the workshop with us today. I was speaking about a workshop and not event because it's a space, a free space, with everyone can really work, contribute, and be part of the job that we are doing today. So, first of all, why we wanted to have this workshop today and who are our guests. So, why we wanted to talk about the value-based healthcare with an accent of a human element. First of all, YBP is the host of this event, and I'm Maria Rosaria Natale, the founder of YBP. We are a consultancy company who believe in innovation. We strongly believe in innovation, I would say. I wanted to underline this aspect because even if we made a great effort to create this workshop and make it happen, we wanted to keep it free for everyone because we believe in innovation and we want to share it with all of you. So it's free for the guests, it's free for the attendances, so no one is paid for it, just us because we want that it's there. For this reason, it's a totally free space of real innovation in the healthcare. And why am I underlining the freedom of this space? Because I think that freedom is the real base of innovation. in every kind of business, but especially in the healthcare. Freedom is also the most important condition of human being. So today we will work together in a free space on the best way to take care about people and human beings, not patients. Please, forget the word patients. Not patients, we will not speak about patients, doctors, payers, hospitals, stakeholders, but we will speak just about people. Only if we conceive the healthcare as the way to take care of people, then we will be able to make a step forward in what we call, following Christensen, Professor Christensen, who passed away last year, and Porter, Professor Porter, both from Harvard, value-based healthcare. And now I go directly on the title of this free space, the person and the network. So if healthcare is the way to take care of people in the best way, then we can say that this way is not the responsibility of one hospital alone, or private or public that they are, or GPs or pharma or companies alone. So I mean, no one alone could be responsible alone of a good healthcare system. No one. Healthcare is a matter of collaboration among all these elements, among all these pieces, all of them. The connection among all these players can only be take care about people. The immediate questions that I can see in your brain is, it's really possible to develop a network based on the care of others? Indeed, I'm afraid to say that with the current culture of power of each silos is impossible. But luckily, reality is stronger than the culture of power. Today, we have here with us innovators, readers, real innovators and real leaders that are already putting together all the pieces of the healthcare system, and they are succeeding on it. They are making connections never tested before, as our friend Christensen is used to speak about. Today we will work with people that don't normally speak in congresses because they don't have time to do that. They are great workers. And they work to develop these connections never tested before and take care of each of us in the best way possible. Today, we will meet and think together with Giuseppe Frazzoli, who is, first of all, a great friend of mine, that CEO of 5 hospitals of Humanitas Group in Italy. Giuseppe will tell us how in his hospital, especially in one, in Bergamo, during the pandemic, he saw his hospital change radically from a place of excellent silos, in a place that is a community of excellence to take care about people. And then we will meet David Ravech, another great friend who was born in Australia and now is implementing a revolution in the UK healthcare system. David is investing a great amount of energy, I would say all of himself, money too, to develop the technology to make sure this connection actually happens. And then Tiziana Mele and Andrea Bizzi from 2 pharmaceutical companies. Tiziana is the managing director of Ravech, great friends as well, and Italy, and Andrea is the marketing global director of Chiesi. Both of them are here together. And this is still a novelty, an amazing novelty, because they want to think together how pharmaceutical companies can really help facilitate this connection to give the best cure and the best product for the right patients in the right way. Then we have Isabella Fumagalli, CEO of Paribas Cardiff, insurance of great innovation with the willingness to create partnership in the DNA. They are creators of connections and partnerships. She wants to ensure that insurance is connecting and really helping people to have the best treatment possible, connecting all the pieces of this system together. And she will be very inspiring for all of us. And then Marina Veldanova from Moscow. She's a doctor, pneumologist by background. Today, she's leading the Healthcare Research Center in the best business school of Russia, the Skolkovo Business School, and she's studying with her team, to connect all the aspects of healthcare in a consistent way, in a way able to cure people following their real needs. So we will have 3 hours, but I mean, is a marathon. So you can jump in every time. In any case, you will have the best experience. In every single moment you can be part of. And the innovation that you can be part will be particularly in 2 aspects. Again, first of all, because it's free, totally free. And secondly, because the people that you can meet, but really meet, are really putting in place this amazing revolution. And the reason why I really wanted this event, totally free again, is because we wanted to spread as much as we can this way of connecting these pieces of the healthcare system. And you will ask, I'm sure, and about the cost. So don't worry, the cost will be reduced as a logic, a consistent consequence of this connection. So enjoy this amazing afternoon with our colleagues. At this point, I want to start to ask each of our amazing friends to introduce himself. I would like to start with Giuseppe. So please, 2-3 minutes to introduce yourself, who you are, and then I give the space to your colleague. So in this way, we can know better each other. And then we start with the question. Giuseppe, who are you?
I am a manager and a father and a husband, but now let's talk about the part of the work. I am managing a hospital of the group of Manitas in Bergamo in Turin, and I have an extended experience in healthcare business, let's say. Previous, I was working for CDI, that is a network of outpatient clinic and General de Santé, and then I had some experience abroad.
Abroad where, please? Is very
in Israel, managing the hospital in Nazareth, and then in US in IBM.
Can you say something really shortly about Nazareth, the hospital there?
The experience in the hospital in Nazareth was an experience of to face the diversity, totally diversity of people. Because in my hospital there were Jewish, Arabs, Christian, Muslim, everybody. And my experience was that even if there was a lot of differences, we can really work together if you're focused on one thing, that is the patient.
Yeah, and you made amazing experience.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David, sorry. Tell us more about yourself, please.
Look, thanks, Maria Rosaria. When you asked me to speak about value-based healthcare, I felt a real frisson of the forbidden, because I spent most of the 90s at McKinsey. And back then, you know, Professor Porter wasn't just a rock star professor, he was also a competitor of McKinsey. We were not allowed to even acknowledge his existence. But in truth, I'm a huge fan of value-based healthcare. And I know that you've asked me to speak today about the platform aspect of Professor Porter's framework, because you know that I've spent more than 20 years learning very hard and I should admit expensive lessons about just how difficult it is to build positive networks and get the ball rolling. I think since leaving consultancy, I've been involved in 3 businesses that I would say are technology businesses about networks and people. The first one, going way back to 1998, was GFX, where we set up an air freight trading platform. And in those very primitive days, we learnt that users will embrace new ways of doing things only when it's absolutely compelling to do so. And no amount of central top-down directive is ever enough. More recently, in 2015, I co-founded a business with Dr. Beju Thacker called Doctor Care Anywhere, which listed on the Australian Stock Exchange in December, and has built a leading online healthcare platform which links GPs, specialists, and patients at very, very high volumes indeed. And it also coordinates the commissioning and the analysis of diagnostic tests. And I'm very pleased to say that DCA has been a great success. And I'll return later to how these kind of innovative but very complicated health businesses are only possible if they're supported by smart technology platforms which engage patients and clinicians simultaneously and make their experiences absolutely compelling. And most recently, I've become involved as a major investor. I've committed more than £2 million to Rapid Health, which is a pure technology company co-founded by Carmelo Insalico, who's an Anglo-Sicilian CEO. Rapid Health is very much a 2021 next generation technology business. It's designed to deliver smart platform infrastructure to all kinds of healthcare providers, both the thousands of new kids on the block all around the world, building all flavors of online healthcare business, but also the incumbent bricks and mortar healthcare providers, from hospitals to mental health practitioners. And the mission of the business is to democratize digital first healthcare by providing sophisticated platform infrastructure, inbuilt data models, and AI and interoperability at low cost and on a subscription model. So thank you, Maria Rosaria, for your kind invitation to join the workshop today.
Thank you, David. I think that your contribution will be really, really relevant. And now I would like to ask to our friend Isabella to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I am a mom of two teenagers. I met my husband at the time of the Bocconi University, a long time ago. After an experience in JP Morgan in financial institutions, M&A in London, I joined BNP Paribas, and I'm now heading the insurance department of BNP Paribas in Italy. I try as insurer to give my humble contribution to protect the people and what they care most, but also as a person and as a woman to give my my contribution also to inclusion and diversity initiatives. And on both sides, I may say that I had the opportunity and the joy to set up startups within the BNP Paribas group. On one hand, around the welfare program, and on the other hand, around Miss in Action, which is an incubator for young women startups on the local market. So at the end of the day, with a financial track record, I must say that I'm quite a creative person, and I've very recently discovered, after many years of heading a company, that being a person is so much important than just covering a role. And the 5 people that work with me represent for me the most important richness that I'm experimenting within the BNP Paribas group.
Thank you so much, my dear. You will be again an amazing contributor of the job of today. Thank you, Isabella. And then I would like to ask Tiziana to introduce herself. Please, let's go.
Thank you, Maria Rosaria, for inviting me. I am 41. I am the managing director of Lundbeck Italia. But first of all, I have a mom of a 6 years old young son. I met my husband when I was 14, so it's a long time. And I have a personal interest in healthcare dynamics since I was very young. Why? Because I was born in a small town in Calabria, in the southern part of Italy, and maybe many of you knows the healthcare system of Calabria was suffering, and unfortunately is still suffering for the inefficiency, let me call. Inefficiency in managing the healthcare. And this is the main reason to leave Calabria and to move to Bocconi to know how to manage healthcare. But unfortunately or fortunately, then I met the advisory company that was KPMG. I started working for Ministry of Health for 7 years, and then I moved to pharmaceutical environment, and I start loving this environment. I strongly agree with Isabella regarding the importance of people. And in Lundbeck, Italy, we have a mantra that is people in mind. People in mind because people are our people and are the essence of our organization. But also people are people suffering from mental health disorders. That is the primary mission of my company.
Thank you so much, Tiziana. Your contribution will be really important. And then, Andrea, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Bizzi. I'm from Parma, actually a beautiful city in the north of Italy. I studied pharmaceutical chemistry, and then I took an MBA. But I wanted to be a doctor because one of my relatives was a doctor. But then I decided to take a different path because I'm not sure why I decided to enter the pharmaceutical, to study pharmaceutical business. Probably because Chiesi was, for me, was a sort of big arrival in my dreams. So that I studied pharmaceutical chemistry, and after that, I couldn't. The first job I had to find was in Glaxo. GlaxoSmithKline that everybody knows. My first job was in production. I work in production in the manufacturing department to close the boxes. I still remember of drugs for an antihypertensive medication called the Flolan. I still remember these vials, and I was packing them, one. So after a year, I realized that probably, with all the respect, working in production was not my biggest, how can I say, ambition. So suddenly there was an opportunity in Chiesi that I accepted. I still remember they offered me the job, and the name was business development, the role of. And to be honest, I went to the meeting without even knowing what business development meant. To be honest, I checked on the internet because they explained to me the job, but honestly, I didn't understand what was the job. I was so happy to join the Chiesi and to deal with human being outside, say machines, so outside the factory. But then I started the role in marketing, and I started the role in. I did spend 1.5 years in England, in Manchester, where we have an affiliate, Chiesi UK. Then a little bit in London, in Scotland, and then I moved back and I covered increasing roles in marketing, and now I'm leading the global marketing in Chiesi Pharmaceutical, that in Italy is the second biggest pharma company after Menarini, that is the number one. The number two is Chiesi. In terms of chart, we are the 46 largest pharmaceutical company in the world. Obviously, nowadays the pharma sector is under a lot of scrutiny, because of the vaccine, because of things, and sometimes it makes me sad because if the opinion of the pharma company was not so good, put in this way, now it's even worse. And a lot of people ask me, why is this, why and that? Say, listen, pharma company is made by people, and people are nice. I mean, at the end, you can have nice people or bad people. So if you try maybe to try to understand that beyond the name, beyond a big logo, big slogan, there are people like us, put everything in a different perspective. So I hope to be one of these judge as a person working for a company rather than representing an etiquette of the given by the society. Let's put it this way. And I hope that today it will be the first step towards something better. Let's put it this way. And thank you very much, Maria Rosaria, for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. Your contributor is very important too. And Marina, I wanted to listen your own introduction, please.
Thank you, Maria Rosaria. My name is Marina Veldanova. I'm living in Russia, Moscow. And traditionally, as all of you said, I'm mother of 2 adult children, and I'm grandmother of 4 months boy. And I'm in healthcare because I'm a medical doctor. I'm professor of medicine. My husband is a head of big clinic. My daughter is student in medical university. So all my life is in healthcare, but from very different angles. I started as a medical doctor. I was big fan to make some big discovery, really to be trained in innovation technology and diagnostic, etc., etc. But then life is life, and I moved to the pharmaceutical industry, and I started my career as a marketing. Then I became a general manager, and 25 years I saw healthcare from a little bit different perspective, from perspective of pharmaceutical producers of innovative product. It's very good company I'm working in. And then now I'm in a business school. I'm professor, strategic marketing professor and head of Center of Healthcare Development. And now I see healthcare from different angle again, from angle of managerial competence of people working in healthcare, from angle of people who influence on healthcare as a regulator, etc. And now I think I'm in stage of my career when my dream is to integrate different angles, different points of view, different motivation people in healthcare system, doctors, pharmaceutical companies, insurance, politicians, regulators, entrepreneurs, knowing some of this area because I was in this area and having some impression about the rest to integrate. Really try to build a constructive place for dialogue, for sharing, for common development. This is my dream. That is why now I'm in business school. It's really #1 business school in Russia, in Center for Healthcare Development. And that is why I'm extremely motivated for intensive sharing talk today. Not only what do I think, I know what do I think. I have a lot of questions. That's why if we can share, ask ourselves, answering, and maybe to find some innovation approach, how can we integrate different interests in purpose to bring the maximum value to patients, I will be happy with these 3 hours with all of you. Thank you for invitation.
Thank you so much, all of you, really. Just starting in this way is the best way to understand that people are behind every kind of piece of this amazing complex puzzle. So I would like to ask one question, each of you, and I would like to start with Giuseppe, because I think that your experience, Giuseppe, is really touching each of us. It can give us the real feeling of the importance of these the connections of people in a different way. And I would like to ask to you, Giuseppe, how do you see the importance of the person and the network, starting from the point of view of the hospital, and particularly your own experience in the hospital of Bergamo? Please, it's up to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I just hello to everybody. Just I want to start from what Rosaria said at the beginning, that today is the day of remembrance of the COVID victims here in Italy. Was held in Bergamo because we were really the front line of this war in the last spring. Just to give you some data about what's happening in Bergamo province, that has 1.1 million people. We had 6,000 people that died from COVID-19 in spring 2020 alone. The total mortality. The total mortality in 1 month was 5 times higher than in previous years. And during that period, 380 people out of over 1,300 patients treated died in our hospital. Just another data is that just in May we did an antibody survey with more than 2,000 samples, and 38.5% of Bergamo population had been infected by the virus in spring. So what I would like to share with you today is what we did together, because faced like with this crisis, we reacted in a real unbelievable way. Let's say that we reacted really as one team, or I like to say as a community. Just to give you some examples, in just 3 weeks, we passed from 0 patients to 260 COVID patients, of which 200 were given some respiratory assistance, and 33 COVID patients were in ICU. In just 3 weeks, we changed from a surgical hospital with top specialists in fields such as cardiac surgery, thoracic surgery, interventional cardiology, to an hospital that to face an infectious pandemic. Normally, a hospital is an aggregation of healthcare professionals, each one with his own task and his own role. A community is much more. It is an aggregate of people that share the same purpose and the same values. The purpose was very clear: save as many lives as possible. And the values were that we had a common good. We abolished all the roles, the ranks. We were just working to help. We were just doctors. And unfortunately, this is not the normality of everyday activity in an hospital. Just to give you another example, we had in the hospital only 5 internal medicine physicians with at least the knowledge and the skills to face, as we were thinking at that time, a pulmonary disease. So we created 5 teams of medical doctors to cover the departments, led by the internal medicine physicians and formed by all the other professionals: orthopedics, cardiosurgeons, thoracic surgeons, cardiologists, all working together. The staff was directed to guard the checkpoint that were created to screen the people, other helped finding safety devices such as facial masks. The technical staff literally knocked down the walls to make more space in the emergency room. This sense of community expanded also outside the borders of the hospital. And in fact, we very soon realized that we needed spaces for the patients that were still positive, but they didn't have the need to stay in the hospital. And we had also tremendous need for new space for the dose of patients that were arriving to our emergency room. The problem was that many of these patients, they didn't have a suitable accommodation to quarantine at home. So we invented the COVID hotel. We were the first one in Italy, I believe, in the world, where we were the first one in Italy, and we opened the first COVID hotel almost 1 year ago. Think about the network that we created in few days. With the local health authority, we had to implement new protocols to establish the dimensions of the spaces, new safety, security protocols. And then we have to convince the owners of the hotel. We had to convince the personnel that we were not creating a non-threatening environment for them. Think about a hotel that accommodates infected people. I remember the first hotel director, he asked me, but are you really serious about this project? Then with the local newspapers, we started a fundraising campaign to pay the hotels for those special guests. And thousands of people, our extended community, paid for all of them. In 1 month, we opened 4 hotels in Bergamo, where we hosted more than 500 people who recovered and then returned to their families. And even in the middle of this pandemic, we were able to plan for the future. And we designed what is already a reality. We opened it at the end of last year, an emergency center, a new hospital within the hospital, capable to face new pandemic waves with innovative emergency management model. Now, in such a small amount of time, we were able to do things that in a normal times would have been almost impossible.
Yeah.
It was a very tragic period, but also wonderful, when we really look to each other as brothers and sisters, as a community. As a matter of fact, a lot of us are speaking about that period as the best time in their life. The moment in which we really lived, not just survive, we tasted a more profound way to live. During the summer, a team of psychologists started to interview our employees because we realized that many of them had lived through a stressful situation like the survivors of a war. So we collected their testimonies and we realized that we had to do something to preserve the memory of what we lived. We started to think about writing a book with all these witnesses, a book written by the entire hospital that is published exactly a few days ago. Today, we are keeping this memory alive, distributing this copy to this book together with the mayor of Bergamo, where in a few minutes we have to inaugurate a sound installation where a lot of our employees give their voices to tell all these stories. We titled this book The Courage and the Memory. The first word is describing the attitude we had at the time. And the memory is the attitude we have now, because we don't want to just remember. We want to relive the emotions that moved in all of these days. We don't want to lose the beauty of living as a community. The real challenge is to live as a community today, even if we are not in an adventure. We are not in a small boat in the middle of the ocean. The adventure of today is to rebuild in a normal environment the same relationship we had at that time. A space of responsibility, of freedom, of respect, of caring for each other. The extraordinary events, good or bad, are showing us what in the normal times we are not usually able to see. Because what wrote a person, what is essential is not visible to the eye, only to the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe. I think that your experience is not just touching, but is giving the way. I mean, what you said about the change from aggregator, hospital as aggregator of amazing doctors and other specialists to a community, and then how you created the network around the hospital, convincing other people at hotel and convincing the institutions to follow your vision. I think that this is really not just a visionary, but is a reality. It is the way to carry on. I don't know how long you can stay, Giuseppe, but I really would like to, before to share and to start asking to David his point of view on it, I would like to ask to you, in your opinion, what is now the first step to really carry on this opportunity to be a community of amazing specialists to taking care about people, and also the connections that you are creating around you? What is the first step to make it really the new system? This is my question.
I give you an example because just a few days ago I had to meet with the two head of departments that they were that some problems together, relationship problems, and I said to them 1 year ago this meeting would have been impossible. What is the difference between 1 year ago and today? The difference is that 1 year ago we were totally focused on our patients. This was our only interest. Today we have my position, your position, my role, your role, my task, your task, my space, your space. We're not focused 100% on the patient. This is the common goal. If you have a common goal and you are all together on the same path, then everything is easy. The problem in the normal reality is that we have each one of us a different agenda, different interest. Not bad interest, but everybody has his point of view. At the time, there was only one point of view. How many lives we can save? Now, this is clear that it's not the same thing in a normal period because maybe the people is not such a tragedy that we have people that are dying 10 every day. But let's say that the focus this is the key word. In that meeting, as soon as I said, but 1 year ago, in which way we would have faced this problem? There was a totally silent. They said, yes, you're right. That's it. Done. We will talk to each other. Don't worry. So for me, the first step is to have clear, in organization to say, okay, what is our purpose? What is our mission? What is our real goal? And in an organization there is so many, I believe.
Thank you so much, Giuseppe. Before to ask again the question, because I wanted to take the best from Giuseppe, someone wanted to ask some question to him directly. I know that I'm changing a little bit the agenda, but freedom and flexibility go on together. Someone has some question to him. Let's go, Barbara.
No, there is, sorry, good afternoon. There is a question online by Tracy. Maybe she's first.
Yes, please. Sorry, I didn't see. Thank you, Tracy. Can you ask? Yes, you can go.
No problem, Barbara. No, I was just thinking, Giuseppe, thank you for inviting me, Rosaria. I'm honored to be here. Giuseppe, I was just wondering, because of course the hospital is also a company and you also have financial constraints, how can you keep the incentives of the different stakeholders aligned to make sure that budgets don't get in the way of making sure that you put the patient out there?
This is the most difficult task that we have. I believe that it is an intelligence balance. Meaning that for sure, like every company, but an hospital is a company, is a community, we have many stakeholders. But I believe that the most important thing is, to be able to show a goal that is above everybody. Meaning that I don't know, my shareholder that is on the other room in this moment, even today he came today and looked into the patient. He went to the ICU or whatsoever. So let's say that then we will find a common language. Let's say that we will make bridges. Even with other departments, they have their own budget, they have their own things. But at the end, if we talk about life, if we talk about the purpose, for example, today we have to face that many doctors, many nurses, they are leaving because they will have a better pay and whatsoever. And today we were speaking that there is a difference between a doctor and somebody that has a degree in medicine. This is a big difference. There is a big difference between a nurse and a person that has a degree in nursing. And what we like to have an organization is doctors and nurses. This means that we have people that believes in what they were doing when they decide to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I believe that this is the key. Now we are in a shortage, so we need everybody. But let's say that tomorrow we will choose doctors. It's much better to talk to doctors, not just a degree in medicine and nurses, because we will find a common ground. We will find it. Because at the end we will have, the same focus on the patient. I don't know if I answered to you, Tracy.
Yes, you did. Thanks, Giuseppe.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Giuseppe. Barbara?
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting. Very interesting. I mean, I was amazed by the story because Giuseppe, you were able to provide us the human life of, a healthcare crisis, in fact. So first of all, it was very clear your purpose. You have really said our purpose was saving life, which is, as you said, a common point that is understandable from any angle you look to it. So I think this is something I'm bringing back in my job. I am a managing director of a pharmaceutical company here in Italy. The question I have for you is the following. Today, we are in different phase of the COVID pandemic management. So what learning you can extract from this very initial phase that may be useful today to fix the problem and to eventually bring Italy or Bergamo or Lombardia into a new normality stage?
I was talking, I put the title of the book is The Courage and the Memory. What I said before, it was exactly because memory for me is to go back to that values, to reshape our present and our future. Is exactly to go back to what moved us in that time. Cannot be different today. The situation is different, but the attitude will be the same. So it's the sense of responsibility, is the sense of community, the fact, in that time we were just us. To give an example, everybody said to me that at that time I was not the CEO of a company. My role was to find masks, to prepare share like a cocktail every night every evening to welcome the people that was working, to be a coach. So it's just to go back to the fact that we are together. Normally speaking, we have a role, we have status, and this create differences, create levels. I believe that this is really something that we should not forget to remember and to go back to that way. Because it's the only way, when you say, okay, we are all together, this is nice, but normally we are not together. But if you are in a boat in the middle of the ocean, you are together. Now, it's just because it's not so clear that today we are in a boat in the middle of the ocean, but we are. Because before I was just passing through the ICU with my president, there was one person of my age. What is the difference between me and that person? Luck. What? So I just think that I am in a different way, but life will very soon bring us to reality. So we have just to be very real, meaning that what we lived in that period was more real than what we are trying to live today, or we are faking today. Maybe I'm too strong.
Thank you very much.
I have also a question for you, Giuseppe, because
Okay.
so you talk about mostly about Bergamo, where there were a peak of this tragedy, but you manage 5 hospitals, and when you speak about an hospital as a community, I think you are doing the same in 5 different hospitals in different cities and so on. So could you tell more about that? So how you was able also to create this larger community than just in Bergamo, where this need was so high?
Okay, I just want to say that in the first wave here in Bergamo, 19 people came from another hospital that they finished to manage at the end of 19. Nobody asked them anything; they just decide to come. And I really want to believe that they came just to help because they had a relationship with somebody of us. Nobody asked, and we had other hospitals, and not so many people came to help from other hospitals. But from this one, where me and other people from my team were working for some years, they joined us, risking their lives. I believe for a relationship that we establish during our work together. So I believe that the same thing now with the other hospital. We are just creating the same environment. It's just really a way to manage and to live. But at the end, honestly, I'm learning from my 2 little girls that I have to establish a relationship with them in a different way with the princess and whatsoever. But so I don't think this is so different between our personal life and our life at work. As a matter of fact, we are one person, not 2.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Enrico and Giuseppe. Now I would like to, sorry for the other questions that are emerging, but I would like now to start to ask.
I really need to leave.
Ciao, Giuseppe. Thank Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much. You can write down the questions, so we will ask the question to Giuseppe, we'll answer later. Ciao, Giuseppe, thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you everybody. Thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And now I would like to ask the same question to you, David. So, how is important, in your point of view, from the technological point of view, the person and the connection, the network, to really start a new healthcare system?
Well, I think just listening to Giuseppe, one of the things that I take from his experience and, you know, from our experience, all of us living through this extraordinary period, is that we've seen things move a lot quicker in healthcare than they probably have in the previous decades. And, you know, Giuseppe describes this as an openness to change. People just rolled up their sleeves and did whatever had to be done. And it's that sense of openness to change, of organizing society differently, that I think is, you know, the silver lining of this cloud. It's been an appalling experience, but we will take positives from it. And I think that embracing of new ways of doing things, like we are here, you know, participating in a workshop, chatting together, and yet we're all safe at home or in our offices. I think we're going to have to learn how to do stuff differently. And that will be the upside. Personally, I think that we are already on the way to this digital first modus operandi for health. You know, in the UK, if you look at primary care, when we first went into lockdown, we went overnight to 100% digital first. It was mainly the plain old telephone service, but all GP practices, every single one of them, wouldn't see a patient unless there'd been an attempt to resolve the patient's needs first on the telephone. And that was for safety, the safety of the parent, the safety of the clinician. We did it because we had to do it, but it worked. And patients found that they were very pleasantly surprised that 70% of the time their needs were met totally over the telephone. And clinicians were also surprised because, you know, whilst some of them have been embracing digital interactions, many traditionalists have been averse to change, but they also were pleasantly surprised to find, yes, it can be done, it does work, it is safe, it is effective, and it's a different way of doing things. So I think, you know, we have, to use an Italian phrase, you know, crossed the Rubicon now. We are becoming a digital first healthcare system, whether we like it or not. I think the good news is patients do like it by and large. Given a choice, they do accept and embrace it. But frankly, I don't think they will be given a choice, because that's the way we're going to need to evolve. We're going to use this openness to change, use these experiences in a positive way to deliver more personalized services and at lower cost. Clinicians are starting to see these benefits. The early adopters of AI-driven triage are seeing great productivity gains. Patients are seeing well-being gains. And if we take this opportunity to deliver our services differently, we will end up with a more personalized service, with more early intervention. The physical building blocks will stay the same. Giuseppe's hospitals will continue to employ the same people in the same locations, but the data flows will be different. We will be seeing more and more clinicians looking at, you know, red and yellow flag sets of data and deciding when to intervene, when to reach out to a patient whose stress levels are growing to the point where it's a mental health crisis, and intervening at the right time to stop or preempt a potential hospital admission, which would be costly for the health service and a tragedy for the patient.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, there's lots and lots of evidence that what Michael Porter talks about and would advocate is already happening, but it's not being driven by, you know, reorganizations or change programs. It's actually technology being adopted by virtuous networks of GPs, of pharma companies, of specialists. It's happening as we speak. And I think it's unstoppable. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we will see, you know, 2 decades of progress in the next 2 years as some of these changes bear fruit. And the openness to change that Giuseppe talked about, when you live through a crisis, you do things differently. And, you know, we have lived through a crisis. We're still in it in many cases. But we will learn how to do things better. And I'm very excited by that as we see these networks reconstitute themselves. I believe patients will end up with better outcomes and hopefully at lower cost as well.
It's super interesting what are you saying, David, because for what I understanding, and carry on with the question of Giuseppe, the way to carry on as a community connecting outside the different levels of primary care and secondary care is could be, for sure, is first of all the purpose, as Giuseppe say, and technology. So I mean, technology could be an amazing enabler to really carry on in this way and not stay just inside the borders of an hospital. So this is super interesting, because what you say is that you can really be in a personalized, very intimate, I would say, relationship with the patients from the doctor point of view, the hospital point of view, and any kind of specific pieces of the system. So I'm very happy to listen that is there. And as you said, we passed the Rubicon. And in 2 years, if I think that in 2 years we can implement, see exactly this revolution is really amazing. So thank you so much, because what are you saying? Again, it's not theory, but it's something that you are seeing and you are realizing. Thank you again, David. I would like to carry on now with the same question to, I think that my friends together, Tiziana and Andrea, could be a very interesting, could share a very interesting point of view, both of you. I would like to start with Tiziana. Again, the person and the network, Tiziana, from the pharmaceutical point of view, and Andrea as well, because you know, as Andrea was saying, normally, and particularly now, looking at the horrible war about vaccines that we are looking in the newspaper and so on. Just to say one word, sorry if I jump in, but we are followed by different magazines and newspaper in Italy, and a lot are very interested, particularly Sole 24 Ore, so I mean very serious and important newspaper and magazine for the event of today. But someone that is not at this so big level said, oh, you know, we are not so interested because we need to speak about the war, about vaccines. So it's really exciting, you know, but when we are speaking about a serious thing, how we can really move on and create it is a new way of being cured. Just the serious people are really listening. So
but you are so disruptive, Maria Rosaria, that you are so disruptive in putting at the center of everything human being that not everybody can follow. You know, this is one of our frequent discussion and conversation. As I mentioned at the beginning, people in mind is my specific mantra. People in mind, so having people at the center, it's not a slogan, but it's really, I can say that in my company, it's a reality. And it's a testament by our employers, but also it's a testament of the patients that we serve. And I would like to mention the importance of networking, but also in order to be a disruptive innovator, the not so common network. Last year, on October, we launched as Ravech Together for Mental Health. And we tried to work not only with the scientific society and patient associations, because as you know, every pharmaceutical company has their own, this is a classical networking, and you need this kind of networking. But we try also to work with the big organization, very big organization that put at the center of their purpose of the well-being of their employees. And it's Poste Italiane and Unicredit. And you can say Ravech with Unicredit and Poste Italiane. Yes, together for mental health. So again, it's very, very important what Giuseppe said. If there is a common goal, if we have a common goal, no hurdles, no limits, we can achieve our goal. Because again, working together, even if we are completely different business, different areas, we can put together our energies, our different point of views. And for sure, 1 + 1, it does not equal to 2. And another example, and I have to thank you again for this, because you gave me, during the pandemic, the opportunity to meet a very extraordinary person like Andrea. And sincerely, in my radar, never I have in mind to check or also to deal with the Chiesi, because we are a completely different pharmaceutical company. But again, we started talking about how to manage a pharmaceutical company during an unprecedented time. And we discovered different point of views. We challenged each other, and I've learned a lot.
Super, thank you so much, Tiziana. Now, Andrea, about you.
So about me, yes, I think what Tiziana, first of all, thank you, Tiziana, for the kind word. The pharmaceutical business is a place that has a lot of privilege, but also carries a lot of, can I say, ethical consequences when you work in this business, because the perception is that pharmaceutical business is all about making, no, it's all about profit. Every business, at the end of the day, it's, how can I say, aim to be profitable. Otherwise, they can't survive. I mean, it does not exist a business that can survive without profit. But let's say when it goes into the healthcare, it touches element where people is rightly very, very careful about. So you can have, now if you work with a bank and you talk about profit, you are seen like, oh, you are no Warren Buffett, no? If you're an executive in the pharma company and you talk about profit, the conversation becomes a little bit tricky. And in a way, this is an element that inevitably should be taken into consideration by the pharmaceutical company. You know, this point of perception. We in Chiesi, let's say that we tried, bringing back to the example, to make a further step. Chiesi is the first pharmaceutical company that has the what is called B Corp certification. So is a benefit corporation. It sounds strange that we are the first one, because all the pharma companies should work as a benefit corporation. The point is that in order to achieve this sort of label, you need to accomplish a certain level of achievement in order to be claimed so. And to be considered a benefit corporation, you need to fulfill what they call the shared value. So it means that you need to be profitable. At the same time, you need to give what you take, you need to give it back to the society. So you need to use your business as a force for good in the area where you live. And this, for me, but not only for me, has been probably the first moment when we realized that we have a very important responsibility, because once you have this B Corp certification, people look at you in a much more, I would say, cynical way. I mean, people can think it's a good element, but people can say, oh, but now you're using this B Corp certification as an additional marketing element or promotional tool, and every initiative that you do is scrutinized by them. So, and now what has been the implication of this of that every initiatives that we carry out, we need to be extremely careful that fulfills not only, I would say, the business purposes, but also as much the how can I say, the society we live in. To give an example, all the provider with whom we work with should, in theory, also in practice, belonging to this network. So, because if you claim to be a benefit corporation, then you cannot make business with a third party that has violates, I would say, rights. And so these has a very big implication, and inevitably this needs to rely on other people that shares your same approach. This B Corp, but could be many. But I think that this B Corp thing, beside the title, beside the label, could be one of the elements that create a sort of network validated from an external authority. And if you're good, you belong to the network. If you're not, you are kicked out of this network. So this, sorry, is my, would say, just to complement what Tiziana said, and the demonstration that myself and Tiziana are talking together, I hope that is the beginning of something where more and more people, because we share the same purposes and the same values.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy listening to you, what are you saying, because if I start again from what Giuseppe said about the importance, how to become a community, means that everyone needs to share the same value, the same purpose. And what are we saying? That this is the starting point, and we need also technology to spread this approach, not just in the hospital, but outside the hospital, connecting the different parts of the different pieces, I would say, of stakeholders, but the different pieces of the puzzle, the so complex puzzle of the healthcare, taking care about people. And what are you saying is that, first of all, some specific pharmaceutical companies has exactly the same values and are part of this sharing value, and the value that Tiziana was underlying is the person, again, people in mind. And at the same time, what are you adding, Andrea, is that you are finding tools to really certificate this kind of identity on values and purpose, where the person is really at the center, and using and spreading in the best way also profits. So this is a very interesting part of the piece. Thank you so much. At this point, I would like to ask to Isabella. Isabella, from an insurance point of view, very innovative like yours, I would like to ask again, the person and the network, how an insurance, again, a specific insurance, and a very innovative insurance like yours can be part of this system and help the system to be connecting people and creating the network.
Thank you. In Cardiff and more generally in BNP Paribas, regardless from the industry we belong to, in front of the tragedy of the pandemic, I may say that we felt probably for the very first time that we could impact as persons. With a feeling again, for the very first time, to be able to impact concretely to the society as part of a larger community of first aiders. From one day to another, profits were no more a priority. Sure, we have to make profits, but we're in an emergency, and that was very, very nice. Because we had to protect our employees, their families, our customers, and that was our priority. At the end, an insurer, the mission of an insurance company is to protect people. So that was a fantastic opportunity to completely put in place our mission and our personal mandate. Thanks to the sense of urgency coming out from this pandemic, we managed to run and achieve activities and results which would have taken ages in normal times. Let me just give some examples. Like, for example, the fact that we stepped into flexible work in 3 days. From the 21st of February, 100% of our employees were at home. And we became less colleagues and more friends because we were online and we participated to our families' lives, and at the end we discovered about ourselves much more things in few months than in the preceding years. Then we extended the insurance for the customers in order to cover pandemic. We set up a free chatbot and assistance activities. We opened to telemedicine for health insurance consultations. So we did many things that we had been thinking about for many times, and we had not probably enough courage to put in place. At the end of the day, in a pandemic situation where the order word is social distancing, you discover that digital proximity becomes the answer. When people feel lost or alone, reassurance comes from the symbolic hug of the ecosystem, giving help, bringing solutions. An environment where they can find their needs satisfied in a holistic and simple way, safely. This implies that all the ecosystem's stakeholders, doctors, hospitals, pharma, insurers, tech companies, or whatever else, are connected through platforms which are built around the customer. So just to summarize, we have experienced that it's no more time for business to business or business to consumer. It's really time for human to human.
This is super interesting, and sorry if I underline your words, Isabella, but it's amazing what you said about metaphoric hug. So I mean, insurance can hug us to help us to have the right insurances, the right cure, and in a connection with the healthcare. I mean, the healthcare, the digital healthcare. You said that the digital proximity is the answer to the physical distance. This is really amazing. Thank you so much. Enrico, please.
I have a question or more a curiosity, Isabella, because I know that in your policy, you have also not something to help humans, to take care of also of baby and so on, but also of animals, of pets and so on. So that is really great and new. What's that?
Yes, I think that at the end of the day, we have to consider that people who trust us have different people and things and animals they care of and they can be worried about. So we need to be able in the future to enlarge more and more progressively our scope to as many things as the worries of the people around us. And this is really the mission. And if you want a bit a challenge for the insurance companies, I will take about that. I will talk about this later on if you want.
Yes, please. Super interesting. Thank you, Isabella. Marina, I have the same question for you. So now the importance from your perspective of the relationship between the person and the network. Tell us more about that.
Okay, thank you. We have a short period of time till breaks. That's why I will tell you some short story just currently happened in my life. Last year, we have some educational program. We have to organize educational program in business school for some region of Russia, for people, for managers of public area, municipal level, regional level. To develop the, as usually, leadership, management of the people, how to solve problem, very traditional approach to develop people. Okay, it was March. It was 1 week before lockdown, and we have a 3 days module with them, and we train them to be strong leaders, to manage people better way. They were very close. They were not emotional. They were pretty not really trustful to us, and we were partly upset with the result of the module. Next module has to be in May, but lockdown, no module, no continuation of the product, and we met them just in October, half a year before. My expectation was that I will see again close people who is not eager really to share, who is not emotional because they are from public area. And when they arrived, as usually we ask them, how are you? What do you remember from first module? What is the most important for us? Answer was, the most important is not what we learned in first module. The most important is what happened between modules. You gave us a chance to know each other. You gave us a chance to be able to connect, and during tough time of crisis, being very, very area when you are responsible for everything, for healthcare, for social sphere, we have to make decision. What helped us? Network. During module, we create connection between us, and between modules, we can call each other, talk each other, be sincere, be open, share solution. You helped us to save so many lives, to really solve a lot of regional problems. That is why, for me, it was, you can't imagine how big lesson that sometimes we consider that value is, I don't know, to educate people, to give something, hard competence development, etc., etc. But in crisis time, really, when we don't know obvious solutions, what can help? Really, communication, networking, sharing, really this sense of community. And they said to us, let's continue develop our communication skills, skills to listen people, skills really to understand people, because now we know this can help us to solve an urgent situation, important things out of our area of our hard competence. Just a short story, I'm really have been faced knowing now that in different stakeholders from healthcare ecosystem, this skill really not only openness to communicate and to be in work, skills has to develop also, but crisis, this COVID situation really gave us a chance to look at the things differently and to open this value, completely different approach for value creation, not value chain, as Porter said, etc., etc. Really network nature of value creation in all sense. So this is short but important story, at least for me, how things can be different in crisis time and fundamental value of network, what we sometimes not really see when life is just normal. This is a short story as an answer on your question, Maria Rosaria.
Thank you so much. I really love, again, what you say, Marina, because it's also again connected with the beginning of what Giuseppe was saying. And looking at the time, I'm always very, very, a little bit scared about using the best way your time. I would like to jump to the last question. So my second question was where we are in this connection, or I would like to ask you the two questions together, so better. So where we are now, it is looking at the healthcare system from the different angles, the corner you are speaking about, and in the connection between the person and the system and the network. And if we are so far from this connection, what is the first step to do immediately, to start with, to help this connection to be really alive? So please, again, David, what is your point on it?
Okay, I'll try to be brief, just looking at the time. I think we just have to acknowledge that right now we are in a real pressure cooker situation. You know, Giuseppe talked about what it was like on the front line, but what that has meant as he turned his surgical hospital into a respiratory care facility, all of those surgery patients didn't get treated. And all of the cancer diagnostics weren't happening. So we now have extraordinary waiting lists, probably in every country around the world. And we are going to need to get in front of demand and manage that down as safely as possible. And, you know, Giuseppe also talked about the hiring. You know, there is an incredible shortage now of capable medical staff. And so many of those who've been doing this for a year are burnt out, and you know they're not getting holidays. So we need to be prioritizing scarce resources. We need to reorganize patient flows around clinical need, not waiting time. For me, I think there are probably 3 quick wins that we could look at. First, I would start with primary care with AI-powered triage. And just to be clear, I'm talking about, you know, doctor-programmed inference engines, not machine learning. I don't think we're at machine learning yet, but with the inference engines which doctors are programming, the algorithms are visible, they can be checked, they're signed off by panels of expert doctors, so that we're talking about safe and secure medical devices here. These templates exist already. Millions of users have safely progressed through the process. And I think that the impact will be saving existing GP practices from collapse, from closing down. We are seeing so many doctors literally walking away from their practices. They are so burnt out because they're not coping. So we need to start providing support to them. I think the next quick win would be re-engineering referral management to reduce inappropriate or unnecessary referrals and to speed patients who do need urgent secondary care to the right doctor much more quickly than we're managing to do today. That's what DCA has been doing already with its internet hospital. It does work. It works on paper. It works in practice and generates cost savings of around 20%. But more importantly, it's using the scarce resources in the system much more effectively. It's speeding up the journeys and it's promoting early interventions and better results. And I think the third low-hanging fruit that I would want to be plucking is remote patient monitoring. This is about, you know, wellness at home, where chronic conditions are much more proactively managed. At Rapid Health, we're supporting a trial with a pharma company, with a major hospital in Yorkshire, where 3,000 cardiology patients are being managed 24/7 with, you know, red and yellow flags that are helping doctors identify who needs more support earlier. And we are really seeing great results in terms of not only adherence to some new drug protocols, but also reducing hospital admission. I think helping those patients with chronic conditions remain well at home and not in crisis is how we're going to save the health system, because by the time they end up in hospital, it's already expensive and difficult and tragic for the patient. So we need to keep them at home, keep them well, and I think that will save a lot of money too. Really, you know, there's so much to do, but I remain incredibly optimistic. Maria Rosaria, you know, we've shown with this pandemic response that we can make extraordinary progress in very short time if the will is there. You know, if our mindset is crack on, not wait and see. And I really believe that with that mindset, that's the mindset that Giuseppe inspired us with. If we apply that now to fixing a healthcare system that's been creaking and broken for many, many decades now, you know, now is the time. And because it's an emergency, because it's a crisis, and because we've fallen so far behind, we are just going to have to find better ways to do it. And I think that's where personalized digital medicine is going to play an increasingly large role.
Yeah, I agree. Now is the time. And the example that you are giving about the 3,000 patients that with a cardiologist problem, they are connected with hospital, GPs, and pharmaceutical companies through this tool is really amazing. I agree. This is when you are telling me that, I think that is the future. But when you say me that is real, that is now, this is really impressive. Really impressive. Oh, thank you so much. And this has been, I think, the first step. Done. Is reality now. And
I think there is a question for,
please,
David by Marilyn.
Yes.
Could you ask Marilyn?
Yes, it was just a comment following David's comments about the burnout of people in medicine and the shortage of people also. And I was making a comment about pathologists, and they are suffering about a lot about burnout, around 33%, I think, of burnout in pathologists. And digital pathology is helping them a lot. And it's a field also that is growing a lot. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to leave it is 5 minutes with this question freely. So please, who wanted to answer from Isabella, Andrea, Marina, and Tiziana, please take the stage and share your points on it.
So maybe if you allow me, I'll just try to speak in a minute. Now, hearing David talking was exactly the same issue that I think doctor, patients, health system, pharma company have, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to keep the system working. At least from my personal point of view, the point of telemedicine or digital medicine, or let's say ways to make the more to leverage on technology, it sounds so simple that say, well, why is not be done? You know what? Because I'm talking here for pharma company, because every company wants to define his own or her own technology. You know, they want to build their own infrastructure, their own network, their own. I said, come on, but why can not do the same network and everybody? And then once you have the network, the better. And I say will win based on their skills. But you know, leveling the ground on this. But if every company develops its own software, his own app, his own technology, his own map, it's very complicated, and the adoption will be very, very, very low. So this is something where I hope all these initiatives will have to say, guys, just okay, simplify your life. Sorry, this was my comment just to back on what David said.
And if I can build on Andrea's point of view, for me, the first step is just to replace the me approach with with a we approach. And having all the brains in the game, it's fundamental. So, but this means no individualism. Like Andrea was saying, my own, no, it's not my own, it's ours.
Thank you. Marina and Isabella.
I see two things, let me say rational and unrational. Rational really to explore a bit, to investigate where's the key barriers, why we can't be together, what is key barriers between us, I mean different stakeholders of the system, etc., and what can be done rationally. But unrationally, really to discuss, to be together, to have a dialogue, deep dialogue or polylogue. Because I think we have really lack of safe space to discuss our needs, our constraints, etc., etc. That's why for me, this today events, it's already first step, because today we are talking about it. Be absolutely, we have the same purpose. And thank you, Giuseppe, because he really gave us the very valuable, very proper tone of our discussion. And we are about it, about purpose, but we have to discuss how it can be overcome all these barriers. So to explore and to talk.
Thank you so much, Marina and Isabella.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's also a question of risks and responsibility towards, for example, the information that we own about our customers. As I said before, because of the urgency, we dared to do things that we would have double-checked, triple-checked before doing it. But at the end of the day, I think that one of the lessons learned from this situation is that we have to trust into specialists' competence and experience. And this is something that will be part of the famous system that Maria Rosaria was talking before. Nobody can do all. We have to trust on the others' capabilities and make a network. This is something that will remain for the next years, and we will all capitalize on.
Thank you so much, all of you. I'm really happy to have this conversation with all of you. And following also what David was saying, this is really a great hope. So it's possible, it's possible. So we were saying that is the beginning of a revolution. And I would like to thank all of the participants. But before to close, I want to ask to the leaders in the breakout room, what is the takeaway of each room? So what has been your main takeaway from you today? And I start from the first that we started with, that is David Ravech. What is your takeaway, David?
I think the takeaway is that we need to, we need to do what we've been saying throughout this seminar, and that is keep focusing on individuals and how we can help them through working together. And to do that, there are barriers that we need to knock down. There's data that we need to free. But, if we actually crack on and make a positive of this crisis that we've lived through and we've survived, and take it as an opportunity now to deploy the lesson of just getting on with change, not accepting the barriers, not accepting old ways of doing things, and recognize that, out of a crisis can come a positive revolution. Then as long as we keep placing the patient at the heart of it, we will find better ways to serve them, better ways to help them, and they will help themselves and help us to do a better job with their healthcare.
Thank you so much, David. And now I would like to ask to Isabella, what is her takeaway?
Thank you. Thank you all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
For me, I think that listening to everybody, apart having been a fantastic experience personally and very enriching, I think that the health ecosystem is a question of responsibility
Yeah.
We opened with Giuseppe, who mentioned how, to what extent this can be true. And it's, if I may summarize what is my understanding, is that it's a responsibility on one hand to manage to be able to extract value collectively, leveraging on the network. And this is possible because I think that we have to overall cost less and invest more. And if we are together, this will be possible. Maybe, for example, by investing also in research more. And on the other hand, to give back to the client this extra value that we will extract.
Thank you so much, Isabella. And now the same question to Tiziana and Andrea. Your takeaway of the day, of this marathon, I would say. Tiziana.
A very intensive 3 hours, but with a lot of reflection, and difficult times are said that sometimes help to create a better and stronger people. And I think that the main lesson is that we cannot lose this opportunity, and putting out the individualism and trying to create a strong relationship even with different stakeholders, with the non-common stakeholders, we can try to improve, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Tiziana and Andrea. Your takeaway of the day. Andrea is a little bit disconnected now, so I would like to ask to Marina.
Thank you. My key takeaways is, yes, we keep our what we call the patient-centric approach. But now we're not talking about patient in the center only, we're talking about human in the center, with all aspects has to be considered, not only to treat in proper way, but we have really to act with the patient in proper way as a person. And we as a human being, we have the same values with our patients. Doesn't matter who we are, insurers or doctors or pharmaceutical managers in company, etc., etc. And this kind of basic value sharing can help us really to look at the things differently, and to create or to develop further not only value-based medicine when outcomes and cost, that's it, but human value-based, when level of personal satisfaction, personal purpose, how to say, meeting purpose, meeting point is important also. That is why patient-centric, but patient is a human and all of us are human, and not only value-based, but human value-based, when satisfaction and sense of purpose is important outcome, not only normalization of blood pressure, etc., etc.
Thank you so much, Marina. Andrea? No, we cannot. Okay, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So my takeaway of today is that on top what has been said, that we have very strong leaders that will make these things happen. So that's my takeaway, and some of these are actually here around this virtual screen. So.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I would like to, not to close, but to open these 3 hours together with the words that you said, so quoting you during our breakout room, and what was also Tiziana saying. So I mean, really, the highest and the biggest obstacle in creating this connection between the different stakeholders in a human point of view, as a human value-based healthcare, is not the technology, because it's there and we want to use it. What David was saying is amazing. Technology is there, and giving really again the leadership to doctors is possible. It's amazing the ability that what David is creating. So technology is there. The problem is not money, particularly in Italy. Now we have the recovery fund. So and again, it's not money. The only problem is the culture of power. And as Andrea said, we are starting with a new reader. Now is a disruptive point because seems that we are against the normal system, okay? However, it's the only way that we can start in a disruptive way today in the urgency and the emergency of a pandemic, that we can really create this connection. Never tried before, to really see that not just is possible, but is giving results, amazing results for everyone. For the patients that is received the right, the person that needs the right cure, for the hospitals that can manage better the patients, for the GPs that knows exactly what they can do in helping patients and carry on in their cure during the life of the patient, the person. The universities that they can study better how they can help the system itself that is spending less money and giving high quality of cure. Pharmaceutical companies, they can really connect in value for everyone. And insurances, I love to close with the image of Isabella, the hack that is helping us really to be cured in the best way, with the best also result for everyone. So I mean, it's the starting point. 3 hours, a marathon. Someone was jumping in, jumping out, but I think for me has been an amazing experience. And I really thanks all of you, because innovation starts with innovators, and the great innovators are great leaders. I would like to close here and thank you everyone, and we carry on.
Thank you
again.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao a tutti.
Ciao. Grazie, thank you.
Bye.
Grazie, grazie.
Ciao.